Alright, welcome to the video. Today I want to talk about Arlen since I've been using him a lot lately. From my experience, he's a decent option if you want to use him, but there are some things about him that can be tricky or annoying when trying to optimize his damage. His kit revolves around HP management, which is unique and fun to use, so without further ado, let's get into it. His kit is pretty simple but also unique, since as I mentioned before, it revolves around HP management. I'll start off with the ultimate, which does lightning damage to a targeted enemy and half of the damage to the adjacent enemies. This is of course very good if you're against multiple enemies. His technique deals lightning damage to all enemies, so if you're against someone who is weak to lightning, this can be useful. However, it doesn't do anything other than damage, so you might want to prioritize your techniques on your other characters. His skill is where his uniqueness comes from. Instead of using a skill point, you consume 15% of your max HP to use your skill, and his skill does lightning damage to one enemy. His talent is where the HP management comes into play. The more HP percentage you're missing, the more damage you'll do, but there is a max cap on the talent that scales with level. His kit definitely relies on him being at a low HP, which isn't hard to achieve with the skill. However, there are some things to keep in mind when using him. You don't need to be at a very low HP all the time. As I just mentioned, there is a cap on the talent, meaning that if you have the talent at level 4 like me, and you're missing 80% HP, you will still only be getting 46% more damage. But at max talent level, this scales up to 90%, so if you want max value at that point, you have to be at 10% HP or less. Another thing to remember is that you don't gain a skill point by using his skill. That can be problematic if you have 0 skill points, since your next character won't be able to use their skill. You want to use the skill when you know you can finish off the enemy or charge the ultimate up so you can use that to defeat the enemy. But if you can't do that, then you might need to consider before using the skill, because your utility is often more important than doing a bit more damage. Especially if it's your healer or shielder that attacks after Arlen, since now they can't protect him or the team. There are of course upsides to the skill as well. The fact that he consumes HP synergizes with his kit and Eidolons, since you want to be at a low HP percentage. Another thing is that you're always able to use the skill unless you're frozen, or CC'd in general, because you don't consume skill points and you can't kill Arlen with his skill. If you don't have enough HP, you will just be left with 1 HP. When it comes to Lightcones, there's no doubt that a secret vow is his best Lightcone. Arlen's kit and the Lightcone passive go hand in hand with each other. It increases the damage dealt by 20% and increases your damage by 20% again if you're dealing damage to enemies with higher HP percent than you. Very strong, since you most likely will be at a lower HP percentage than your enemy, but even if you're not, the 20% damage in itself is already very good. If you don't have a secret vow, any other 4-star Lightcone will do, so if you have them built, you can just use them. However, I do think that Wolf Walk Time is probably the worst out of them, although it can still work. I don't recommend any 3-star Lightcones, but if you really need to use any of them, then Collapsing Sky and Mutual Demise are both fine. On the Fall of an Aeon is the one that you're able to buy in the Herta shop. In my opinion, if you already have one of the 4-star build, then you shouldn't bother buying this, since the other 5-star Lightcones in the shop are better in general. But if you already have bought or don't need the other Lightcones, then this option is better than all the other 4-stars except a secret vow. Something replaceable is also better than the 4-star options except a secret vow, and is also better than on the Fall of an Aeon. But it can mess with your HP with the healing from the passive, so keep that in mind. It can also be hard to get the second part of the passive if you're up against bosses, since they tend to hit very hard, which can lead you to dying if you are trying to be at a very low HP. And up against harder bosses, it can be tricky to specifically make Arlen defeat the enemy just to get the passive up, but overall this is his second best option. Now for the traces, he's only doing damage, which means you should level up everything, but if you want a priority, then skill and talent should be leveled. All of his bonus abilities help out his survivability and not his damage, but I still think you should get them. Endurance increases the chance to resist damage over time, which is pretty useful. It helps you be more in control of Arlen's HP, since it can be hard to predict how much damage you will be taking from the damage over time. Repel can nullify all damage received except damage over time until after you are attacked, if you enter the battle while Arlen is at 50% HP or less. Most of the time, I don't find myself entering battle with a low amount of HP. And usually the enemies only hit you with a normal attack at the start, so this can be alright to mitigate some damage. Revival gives you 20% HP healing when you defeat an enemy, while Arlen has 30% HP or less. This can be decent and can come in clutch. When you get to the point where you can farm relics, Band of Sizzling Thunder is his best option. But as you can see, I haven't reached that point yet, so any good relics from the Musketeer of the Wild Reed will suffice for now. The ornament should be Inner Salsodo, I hope I pronounced that right, or Celestial Differentiator. I would say that Inner Salsodo is more consistent consistent, while Celestial Differentiator can give you a very strong start. On the body piece, the main stats should be crit rate or crit damage, depending on what you need the most. The boosts, I would recommend speed, and here's why. If you want to enter battle at a very low HP, you want to make sure the enemies don't get to attack you first, since it might lead to Arlen being killed if they choose to focus him. But of course, that's only against harder content. Another thing is that you get attack from both Band of Sizzling Thunder and Musketeer of the Wild Weed, so you don't want too much attack percent, since that can lead to diminishing return. The main stat on the sphere should be lightning damage boost for more damage, and the link rope should be attack percent. The subset priority for all the pieces are crit, attack, and speed, while crit being the most important. His Eidolons gives him a lot of damage and also some survivability. E1 makes his skill do 10% more damage while he's under 50% HP. More damage is always very good. E2 removes a debuff from Arlen when using his skill or ultimate. This might seem better than it is, and the reason is that you can't attack when you're CC'd, so like if you're frozen, you can't attack, meaning that this can't remove CC from you. But as mentioned before, you don't want any damage over time on you, since that can make it more tricky to manage his HP, so this can easily remove the damage over time without having to use someone like Natasha to cleanse it off, which makes this Eidolon very good. You can also remove speed debuffs as well, which definitely is a plus. E3 levels up his skill 2 times and his basic attack 1 time, which is good for more damage. E4 can be very clutch. If an attack would kill Arlen, instead of getting knocked down, he will now heal up to 25% of his max HP. This effect will be removed after it's triggered or after 2 turns have elapsed. This makes him able to go ham with his skill in the first couple of turns, so this is very good for his survivability and damage. E5 levels up his ultimate 2 times and his talent 2 times, that's more damage, which is nice. E6 gives his ultimate a huge boost. If Arlen is at 50% HP or under, his ultimate would deal 20% more damage, and now the adjacent enemies will be taking as much damage as the targeted enemy, which is very strong against multiple enemies. Now for the teams, I would not recommend just putting Arlen into a team, since he doesn't provide anything other than damage, whereas someone like Asta or Bronya will give you utility like damage buffs or speed. A healer is important in all teams, and especially with Arlen. A shielder is recommended but not needed. The shield can make it more comfortable, letting Arlen be at a low HP. A team I would suggest is a team built around Arlen. You have Arlen and then a healer to keep him alive. As I said before, I would recommend a shielder, but if you don't want to use a shielder, then you can use a buffer or debuffer. The shielder can be Japard or Fire MC, the buffer can be Asta or Bronya, and the debuffer can be Pela. The last slot can be another DPS character, or a character that covers a type you might need, or of course you can go another buffer slash debuffer. So a more offensive team is Arlen with a healer, and then a buffer slash debuffer, and another DPS character. A more defensive team is Arlen with a healer and a shielder, and a buffer slash debuffer. Overall, I think Arlen is very fun to use, even if he doesn't provide anything to the team other than damage. He isn't a bad option. If you have all his Eidolons, which I know pretty much no one has, his strength is massively increased when he's around 40 to 50% HP, because of his skill damage buff, ultimate damage buff, bonus ability, and talent. So him being around 50% HP can be enough to not die instantly, while still having a lot of damage increase. But that's pretty much it. If I missed something or you disagree with something, feel free to leave a comment. I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.